Hello, beautiful people. I am Nikki. This is a night of horror where I talk horror movies, horror commentary, horror TV shows, but I also talk other genres and TV shows. And in this video, I will be talking the anime. The very first anime I've ever talked about on this channel, Terminator Zero, the new Netflix series that is in the world of the Terminator, the classic Terminator. Now, I am a huge Terminator fan, and I am not that group that feels like Terminator movies have not been good since T2. I love, obviously, the first two Terminator movies, but I actually really liked Terminator 3 when it came out, but it hasn't aged very well for me. But I actually love Salvation. I thought it was a great idea to finally give us a Terminator story set in the war. And I don't know why we don't go back to that idea more often. And I think the only Terminator film that I really don't care for and just has never grown on me is Genesis. I think that is just a bad movie. But I actually really love Dark Fate, and I actually did a video on Dark Fate and how it doesn't deserve all the hate against. I think Dark Fate is actually a pretty freaking solid Terminator movie, but I take each entry into the universe of Terminator on its own accord. Nothing will be those original movies. I mean, we just should know not to compare anything to like originals, especially when they are iconic and classic. Now, Terminator Zero, I saw the preview. I was super hyped, super excited. And I have to say, I'm not a fan of animation. I'm not a fan of animation, like animated stuff in general. Even when I was a kid, I wasn't a huge cartoon fan. I was not that kid waking up on Saturday like, let's watch some cartoons. But after seeing Terminator Zero, I gotta be honest, I'm sitting here like, do I need to get into anime? I don't know. Maybe I don't need to go there. Maybe I need to calm down. But I'm kind of hype off Terminator Zero. I feel like if you're a Terminator fan, honestly, if you skip this, you won't be missing much. But I do think that as a fan of Terminator, I love everything Terminator universe. So I think this is well worth the watch. And before we get into things, I'm saying it's worth the watch. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want spoilers, you know, go watch it, come back to the video, because we are about to get, see that the country came out. We're about to get into all things the Terminator Zero anime series. Now, I have to say one thing that I really loved that hooked me immediately was the fact that we start off with action. The movie starts with action, and one thing that really made me feel like, do I need to get into anime? First of all, I just feel like it was a very well constructed series. But also, we have scenes where like the Terminator robot is fighting and getting into stuff. And then we get this visual of the Terminator face being like half skin, half robot. There's a doomsday dream sequence, similar to, of course, the T2 Sarah Connor dream sequence. And in the anime, in Terminator Zero, the flesh is burning off and you know, everything melts away, blows away. And I was just really impressed with the visuals on anime. And I also am feeling the possibilities of what we can do in the universe of Terminator with, you know, kind of the freedom of everything being animated. I feel like we can kind of do whatever the hell we want to do. This could go anywhere we would possibly want it to go. Now, we do follow a certain story here in Terminator Zero, but jumping ahead a bit, I think this would actually make a really great anthology series. But we'll jump back to that because we get into some stuff with the timelines and everything. Now, Terminator Zero follows, and I'm gonna try so hard not to muck up these names, y'all. And that's one thing y'all already know. If you're familiar on the channel, I love Japanese horror, Korean action and horror movies. Love watching a foreign film, but baby, I be terrible with the names. I be terrible trying to pronounce the names. I will never forget covering Squid Games when I first started my channel. Like, I can't say none of these names. So I'm going to try my best not to mess up these names. We have Ayoko from the future. She's in the future, the wartime, and she time travels back. Similar to how we already know the Skynet sent back a machine. We find out about it, so we being the humans, so we send someone back, and it was John Connor sending back his father, Cal Reese, sending back the Terminator to help protect. But in this one, Ayoko is the one who goes back. We also follow Malcolm and his 3 kids. They are in, I'm gonna call it present day, because that is the bulk of where this story takes place at, because we pretty much go through 4 or 5 timelines. I think we pretty much are 3 main timelines, and then like 2 honorable mention timelines are in there. We have Malcolm and his 3 kids, and we have Masaki, who is a nanny. So those are the main characters that Terminator Zero focuses on, and the main timelines that Terminator Zero focuses on. Which, side note, I have to say, I am so horrible when it comes to time travel. Like, I be feeling so dense. I still do not understand how John Connor can send back his dad, and without sending back his dad, he don't exist. So how do you ever even exist? Because you have to exist to send him back, but you can't exist if you don't send him back. I don't know if I'm dense, but I just do not be understanding the time travel stuff. But what I do like about what they do in Terminator Zero is, I feel like it should feel a bit convoluted or confusing, but it actually doesn't. And someone who's a layman like me, who doesn't do well with time travel timelines, I actually found this pretty easy to follow. And we have the 3 main timelines. Okay, we have Malcolm, who is born during the war with the machines. He creates Ayoko, and this is his first like AI robot creation, because Malcolm's whole thing where we're in the war, he's pretty much shunned by humanity, because obviously we're in a war against machines, so it's kind of like death to all machines. Malcolm doesn't feel that way, so he's kind of shunned with this whole notion of creating a machine that can work for us. And I gotta be honest, I was completely against Malcolm pretty much until like the very last episode, very end of the last episode, because Malcolm's whole plan is that he wants to create something called Kokoro, and she is an AI. Now, his thing is he wants to stop, obviously, Judgment Day. So he wants to create an AI to fight for the humans against Skynet. I thought that was the dumbest hell idea from the beginning. Like, we're fighting machines. So see, I'm kind of in the mind of the people in Malcolm's time that's like, no, F the machines, death to the machines. That's how I was feeling. I thought it was a dumb idea to put anything up to a machine. But Malcolm's whole rationale is, let's not try to program and control the AI. Let's give it free will. And I put in air quotes because I don't know if non-sentient beings, I don't know if free will, that's above my pay grade. Like, you know, sentient beings, animals, humans, yes, you have free will, but I don't know how that works with non-sentient beings. But his whole thing is give it free will, even when he creates, oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm mixing up names. I said he created Ayoko. He did not. He created Masaki. I messed up the name. Sorry, y'all. It's Masaki. And I hope I'm saying that right. But that's who he created. I'm sorry. Ayoko is the human who goes back in time. Masaki is the first AI creation that Malcolm creates. Now, this is actually a kind of twist in the story. And I did call that Masaki was a machine, but it wasn't a bad, like I called it, like, oh, this is so predictable. No, not at all. But we are first introduced to Masaki as Malcolm's nanny for his 3 kids. We start off on his wife's anniversary, which I thought it was very serendipitous that the anniversary of Malcolm's wife's death which was just a accident unrelated to Judgment Day and all that stuff, but it just so happens that the anniversary of the day she dies is Judgment Day. I thought that was really interesting. But we're introduced to Masaki as the kid's nanny, and then once stuff pops off, we discover she's actually a robot. And then another twist that comes in with the whole storyline of Misaki being a robot, we find out she was actually from the future, where Malcolm is from. And this is another reason I was against Malcolm. Malcolm creates Misaki in his future time he's from, and the humans discover it. They come in wanting to kill Misaki, and he slaughters the humans. We're supposed to be fighting for humanity. Even John Connor tried to tell us, you don't kill humans. You just can't, okay? Like, he was trying to, haven't you learned yet? Haven't you realized why you can't kill people? Like, I don't know that. I could see hurting them, maiming them even, so that we could get away. But killing humans when the whole point is we're fighting for the human race? Am I tripping? Because I did not like Malcolm. Oh, I didn't. And that just put the icing on the cake of why I did not like Malcolm, because we're fighting. That's the whole, pretty much. I mean, obviously there's a lot that goes into like our Terminator universe, but that's the whole Terminator universe. We're fighting for humanity. Sarah Connor felt like, we're all dead, but we're supposed to have a certain value for life. Like I said, John Connor trying to tell the machine, like, we can't just kill humans. I just felt like, isn't this mixed signaling? Like, you're slaughtering humans, bro. But in Malcolm's defense, we do meet a woman that's the prophet or the oracle. Am I mixing up the Matrix? She was either called the prophet or the oracle, but she's an elderly woman from Ayoko's time, and she tells Ayoko, and okay, so let's get into trying to break down the timelines. What I liked about what they did with time travel is you have something where it's this time travel paradox. Now, in a Terminator, we learned that Judgment Day is inevitable, right? We cannot stop Judgment Day, but with this series, what they do with the time travel and timelines is the fact that when it comes to Judgment Day, Skynet trying to send Terminators back and us sending a human back, that does not change the outcome for us. Time traveling creates new futures, new paths, different. Is it parallel universe? Y'all don't not parallel universe. Okay, see, this is getting above my pay grade. I might not be smart enough, but parallel timelines. Thank you, not universe. Parallel. I'm saying thank you. No, thank you to my brain. Parallel timelines, and I like that idea. I like the idea of the parallel timelines. And I like the way, not just that idea, but the way it's presented in this series. But the point I was making when I switched to, I had to give that time paradox first. What I can say, plain devil's advocate in defense of Malcolm's character, is we're told by the prophetess, the oracle character, that when Ayoko goes back in time, when Skynet sends a Terminator back in time, it does not change our time. So Ayoko goes back in time, but she cannot save or help the people in her time. So the people she loves and care about, and as she time jumps, she sees a Terminator was able to get through and start slaughtering and killing people. So she can never help the people that she loves and the people in her time, right? But the whole thing is, the prophetess tries to tell her, when she says, well, what's the point? It's something that she has to learn for herself, which I deduce to mean it's not just about the people we have a connection to. Like, that's humanity. You don't just care about your family and loved ones. You care about your fellow man. So you may not be able to help the people you love, but you can help your fellow man and help humanity. So I'll say, in defense of Malcolm, his whole thing is maybe the bigger picture. So yeah, I'm slaughtering these humans in my present time that I know, but ultimately I can't help them. I'm focused on creating this super AI, time traveling back to save humanity in a different timeline. Like, that's the only, I'm trying to defend Malcolm. I'm trying to defend Malcolm on this, even though I am hella against it. I'm with John Connor. You can't just kill people. But that's the only thing I can think of. But I will say what popped up for me as a question is, and Malcolm's from the future, remember, from the war. He was born in the war. He creates a time machine so that him and Masaki can go back in time to try to stop Judgment Day. Parallel timeline, right? But obviously we time travel and leave the machine. Is that why or how, not why, how Skynet got technology to go time travel? Did Malcolm pop that off? I just don't see us leaving something like that and like nobody used it, curious about it, mess with it. I don't know. I was just like, how can you just leave something like that? I don't know. I don't know what we could have did. But I just felt like, isn't that dangerous in the wrong hands? You're going to just leave that here? But something, now look, I already told you, I'll be a little confused. Now I understood the movie 12 Monkeys. I understood that movie, but it's just something with time travel. I just be like, wait, did it be feeling like too many little holes? But another twist that we get in the story is Ayoko, who goes back, we end up discovering at the very end, she is actually Malcolm's mother. Now, what didn't make sense for me, and I don't know if it's a hole in the actual story or if I'm just dense. Ayoko, like, remember, we got different timelines, right? And we have parallel timelines. So everybody's future and past, it's not the same. Because when we send people back, it creates different timelines. Now, Ayoko's time that she's from, we're in a war, not just us against Skynet, but also Kokoro. But Malcolm travels to the past to invent Kokoro, which should be a different parallel timeline. How can something her son invented, who was born during the war, it don't make sense to me. Ayoko's time, and then I started thinking, wait a minute, so Ayoko's time, Kokoro is evil, is Kokoro and Skynet fighting for domination over the humans. So we're at war with Skynet and Kokoro. That's why Ayoko travels to the past to stop Malcolm creating Kokoro. Or was it to stop Skynet? Because Skynet, we have a Terminator that goes back so that we can get Kokoro's power. But I think Ayoko is there just to stop Kokoro in general from existing, because that's part of her horrible future. But how can she have a baby during the war who, as an adult, goes back in time to create Kokoro? That I don't understand how that adds up. But then I started thinking, well, maybe it's a different timeline, because Ayoko comes back and Malcolm says, like, you're my mother, but she doesn't have any kids. So is Malcolm's mom, Malcolm's Ayoko, from a different timeline than Ayoko who went back? See, that's when I started getting confused. That's when it started getting a little bit too much. But let's get out of that, okay? Something like I really enjoyed this show, but some stuff didn't work for me. But honestly, it wasn't the biggest gripes with anything, because I gave a lot of leeway with stuff that seemed unrealistic because it's anime. So I don't know if, since it's animated, that means we don't have real world rules. That was very confusing for me, being that this is the first anime I've ever seen. I felt like, do we not have like certain logic rules? For example, Ayoko goes and like she's in a fist fight with the Terminator. There's a moment where she's like matching his strength, like we're pushing each other, and she pushes him into an elevator. And even when the movie opens, Ayoko goes to get something that's of importance, right? And they fall, she's holding on to a rope. The Terminator falls, but he grabs her ankle and he's hanging there for a little minute. And I'm like, In Terminator 3, in Rise of the Machines, the Terminator was so heavy that the first responders couldn't even lift him. Like, he's a Terminator. He's a machine. He weighs a ton. He can punch through a brick wall. If he's hanging on to her ankle, I feel like her leg should have been severed, or her ankle should have been crushed and broken. And there were also moments where you would think the Terminator would crush someone. But again, it wasn't a huge gripe. It was kind of just little stuff I noticed. And I'm just like, wait. But like I said, since it's anime, I'm not sure if those rules do not apply and anything goes in anime. But speaking of the Terminator and certain gripes I had, I hated the built-in crossbow in the Terminator's arm. I feel like we doing anime. This Terminator's from the future. We could have came up with a cooler weapon than that damn crossbow. I don't know. I wasn't feeling the crossbow. And also, I didn't feel like the Terminator felt like a legitimate threat. There's a great scene when the Terminator is going after the kids and he uses the little robot cat to lure the little girl, and she's cornered, and that interaction was actually really good. And it very much was giving me those horror slasher, horror villain vibes from the original Terminator. But he got into interactions on the highway with Malcolm, interactions with Ayoko, and it just felt like, baby, since when can a human do like hand-to-hand combat with a Terminator? Like, he just didn't feel like a threat. And then also when we get into the last episodes where the Terminator is able to successfully snatch up Kenta, which Kenta irked me. The kids were fine. I didn't like them, but I did not like them. Like, they were a fine piece to the whole story. But Kenta irked my nerves. But when the Terminator snatches up Kenta, the Terminator just didn't feel like a real threat. I didn't feel any real stakes when it came to the Terminator being after us. Something in that just wasn't working for me. But speaking of Kenta and that Terminator, what really threw me was when we get to the end, and so we have the Terminator trying to go after the kids to use them as leverage, so Malcolm gives him control of Kokoro, right? And Malcolm spends the whole series locked in this room with Kokoro, trying to convince her that humanity is worth saving and to fight for us. And I enjoyed Malcolm and Kokoro's conversations, philosophizing. And I get the relevance. But I just felt like we spent way too much runtime on Malcolm trying to convince Kokoro to save humanity. And I also don't know how I feel about the character of Kokoro. Baby felt pretentious. Baby felt a little stuck up. Baby felt like a little know-it-all, which I guess she does know it all, because when he brings her online, she has access to everything. But and her dialogue was very AI, which I guess that doesn't make sense because she is AI. But I don't know. It just wasn't. I think it's maybe we just spent too much time on it, and the more we kept getting from them, it just wasn't working out for me. But again, these are little nitpicky things that did not hinder at all my overall enjoyment of the series. But we have Malcolm staying here. He tells, and at first I was like, and this is why I was also like, Masaki is a robot, because Malcolm knows this Terminator is coming for his kids. He sends his nanny to go get the kids, and he just ain't worried about them the rest of the runtime. So I'm like, oh yeah, he ain't just seeing some little skinny girl nanny to go protect his kids from the damn Terminator. So he's there doing that. Masaki's trying to find the kids, take care of the kids, and Ayoko is trying to get to Malcolm. We all converge on Malcolm's building, his company, and the Terminator wants, for Skynet, access and control over the Kokoro. And we end up all converging. Malcolm son's life is threatened, Kenta, and he's like, I'm sorry, I love you, I can't open the door, like I gotta just let you die. But he hears his son screaming in agony, so he does open the door. And the Terminator does not end up, though, getting control or access to Kokoro because Masaki, Ayoko, and the other kids pop up and we get into a whole fight. Now, we are still trying to convince Kokoro that humanity is worth fighting for. And what ends up convincing her, or I'm going to leave that a little ambiguous, because once we get to, I'm still feeling like, is Kokoro evil or nah? Because when she gets online, she takes all the robots, she starts killing people, she has the robots out in the streets, taking control of humanity, just going left, child. And I'm just like, Malcolm, baby, you really gonna trust another machine just because you gave it free will? Humans got free will and they do evil stuff all the time, so I ain't finna give it to the machine and just think it's gonna save us. We end up having it where Masaki, Ayoko, we're all trying to fight the Terminator, and Masaki gets injured, and Malcolm comes in and sacrifices himself. Now, I thought this was crazy. First of all, this was so melodramatic. Malcolm was dying for a long time. Baby, Malcolm was dying like he was on Young and the Restless. Baby, Malcolm was taking his time dying. But when Malcolm gets hurt and he's fatally wounded, the Terminator saves Kenta's life when something goes to fall on him, and he runs off with Kenta. I was so confused, like, baby, ain't nobody finna go after Kenta? Like, y'all just gonna let the Terminator take him up out of here? Now, we end up going where the Terminator tells Kenta, you sent me. Like, years into the future, you sent me back here. You brokered peace between machines and humans. Now, y'all gotta let me know what y'all think. And I don't know if I'm reading too much into it. I don't know if it's just straightforward. I don't believe the Terminator. I think him saving Kenta from that stuff falling, saying that you're the one who sent me back, I think it's all manipulation. He wanted Kenta to use this EMP thing that would take out Kokoro. And that's why I think this is all manipulation, because the only adversary for Skynet is Kokoro. So we want to if we can't control it, we want to take it out. So I think this was all manipulation to try to get Kenta to take it out, because the Terminator couldn't do the EMP because it would take him out and they can't self-terminate. So, I don't know. Do y'all believe that there's a future where Kenta sent the Terminator back? And then I'm feeling like, if that is true, is there a future where Kenta is a villain? Because, I don't know, someone adding up with the whole he sent this Terminator back. But I really enjoyed this overall. I thought it was a really solid show. And I really feel like, can humans and machines ever coexist in any future in this whole Terminator parallel timeline? Because I just feel like, first of all, can humans differentiate the machines? We got, like, if it's the Kokoro machines and they do fight for humanity versus the Skynet machines that are fighting against humanity, can we even separate, or are we just going to be against the machines in general, like the people from Malcolm's future who just was like, F the machines? Like, so I just feel like there are so many places we can go with this. And like I said, we can do anthology. We don't have to follow Malcolm, Masaki, Ayoko, and all of them. We can follow different people each season and then have a final season where we kind of all converge in the future. Because I want another Terminator Salvation type story. I want another story where we are in the future war. We always have, which I'm not saying I don't enjoy, but we always have the same old send a Terminator back in time for somebody. Like, that tends to be the typical story that we stick to with these Terminator stories that we tell. So I just feel like I would love anthology. And I mean, we got in Rise of the Machine and I just feel like logically John Connor he ain't a one-man army. Like, he's not the only person he's not the whole resistance. Like, there are other people a part of it. So we could do a whole anthology series following different people. Like I said, comment on the final season where they all connect in the future Terminator Salvation wartime. And I think a whole season in that future war would be epic. Is the key to the future the chip in Masaki's mind? Y'all let me know what y'all think, because Malcolm's dying words to Masaki is something that was like alluding to the future, and it like something being in her mind. And remember, he puts this chip inside of her head. And so what is that chip? What is the power on that chip? What is the information on that chip? Is it the same chip that Ayoko in her future went to get at the word of the prophet? Like, what is that? And also, who is the prophet? My theory is Ayoko the prophet? Like, she was in a different time, and by the time she converged with herself in that time, she's older. Now, the only reason I'm wondering if Ayoko is the prophet is because when Malcolm reveals to Ayoko that she's his mom, he says to her, "A wise woman once told me," and he talks and he says the line that the oracle said and different stuff that was given. He knows the oracle, but I feel like the way he said "a wise woman once told me," feel like, was he talking about his own mother but just didn't reveal that to her? Because why just say "a wise woman told me"? I don't. I mean, I guess, yeah. Am I way off basis? I could be completely off, but let me know what y'all think. Y'all, do I need to get into anime? I honestly wouldn't even know where to start. Like, what's the hit? You know what? I know where I would start. I would really love to see the original Death Note, because that Netflix remix of Death Note, one of my guilty pleasure movies. That movie is terrible, but I get a sick enjoyment out of it. But I might want to start with the original Death Note. But I'm like, do I need to get into anime? But I feel so clueless when it comes to anime, because I'm like, I don't even know where you watch anime. Where's it located? Like, how do I even get access to anime? Where do I start? What are the hit, like, anime shows? Like, I don't have a clue. But that was my thoughts and review and recap on Terminator Zero. Loved it. One of my favorite series this year. I cannot even believe I'm saying that. Out of 5 stars, I would probably give Terminator Zero, I really want to lean towards 3.5 stars, but I'm going to say a solid 4 stars, because I watched it in one sitting. And it's an easy binge. I think it's 8 episodes at 30 minutes per episode. But if I get disinterested, I wasn't disinterested. Like, I binged the whole thing. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was solid. And I want to lean towards 3.5. My rationale being, I didn't have any favorite characters. There are no characters that I was crazy about, that I really enjoyed. And that's important to me when I'm watching a series. I want characters that I can kind of, even if it's just one, a character I can latch on to, root for, identify with, something. I didn't feel that way about anybody. Nobody. Even in me saying I don't like Malcolm, I didn't feel very passionately about not liking him. Like, I didn't feel passionately about any character at all. Like, they were fine as a part of a whole, but I wasn't impressed. Like, I like the little kid Cal Reese in Salvation. Like, I really like that kid. I liked the guy that was like half augmented machine person from Salvation. I like the girl that found him. When I think of watching stuff, there are people or characters that I really like. And like I said, I didn't actively just not like, Kenta baby. Kenta was aggravating. Kenta was aggravating. I didn't like Malcolm's whole rationale of like, let's have a machine that's gonna fight for us and killing the humans. But as a character, he wasn't like irking me or aggravating me. Kenta was actively on my goddamn nerve. But thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for supporting the channel. And we usually do this at the top, but we're gonna come in at the end and remind y'all that a night of horror, baby, if you are here, it is support or die.
Please, just go. Just please go. Please go. No! No, get away! Get away from me, please!
So if you value your life and you don't want to suffer, like this video, make sure you are subscribed, make sure you are supporting the content, and comment down below. I would love to hear other people's thoughts on Terminator Zero. I don't know nobody that don't watch this. I ain't got nobody to talk to about Terminator Zero. So let me know in the comments, what did you feel? Do you have any theories where you think the show could go? And I don't even know if we're going to get any more seasons. I didn't check. Is this a mini series, or is this a one-off, or are we getting some more? But let me know your theories, your thoughts. Were you confused with the timeline? Did you enjoy this as a part of the Terminator universe? And where would you rank Terminator Zero? I know it's anime and it's a series, but where would you rank it amongst the movies? Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.
Goodbye. Goodbye.